Hey smokers, Jargo1 here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the currently latest release version of ReactOS. Yes, I know that's not what's on the screen right now, but just bear with me, we're not there yet. It's been a while since I released a ReactOS video. I've made 3 of them, and to be honest, each one of them wasn't too thoroughly researched, even though the most recent one where I was sort of becoming a little bit more self-aware. Generally, the ReactOS project is, for those of you who don't know, is a project to have an open source version of Windows, basically, that's binary compatible with Windows apps, and the goal is to make it you can use programs on it the same way you could on a copy of Windows. Everything down to drivers and stuff like that. I don't know the details. I'm not a programmer, I'm not a coder, I'm not one of the developers for ReactOS. I'm not even a community contributor. But ReactOS themselves have taken notice of my videos, and I feel like I have a little bit more responsibility for how I'm presenting their project to the world, because they're putting a lot of work into this. They've been doing it for years. I think, what has it been, 20 years they've been working on it? 15 years, something like that? A very fucking long time. But there have been reasons they haven't been able to get it into even beta yet, just because they really don't have the manpower to get it there right now, and the funding. So a lot of their bug testing happens from the community, and in my previous videos I was doing what accounts to some kind of like bug testing work with different types of hardware, finding out what was working and what wasn't working, except I didn't contribute any detailed documentation as to the hardware I was using to the project. I had never made any bug report submission, so hopefully ReactOS will take note of this video and be able to know the sort of stuff that I'm doing here, and I'll try to be a little bit more detailed this time. I was kind of worried that in some way I was hurting the project by making it look like it just didn't work. There was one video I did 3 machines at once running it, and I think only one worked. I think none of them worked at the end of it because of the hardware combinations I was using. Things have gotten better since then, but I haven't done one on physical hardware in a while, just because I was waiting for it to get into beta, because there wasn't any practical use for it right now outside of VMs, basic testing, development work. There was nothing, and they basically say you should not be trusting this for your day-to-day, everyday work, which makes sense. For me, what I cared about is could it run some video games, and so I try to run multiple different video games, and with mixed success. So since those videos, I've been waiting for the beta to come out, and it's actually been 3 years since I made those videos, and there still is no beta. But it has advanced 10 version iterations since then, so there's got to be some changes now that have got to be pretty good. I don't know what they are entirely, but we can go through them a little bit later, depending on what we can get working with this thing. The last version I did a video on was version 0.4.3. Now we're on 0.4.13. So we've, again, 10 version iterations. What's a good way of testing ReactOS? Well, really the best way of testing ReactOS is what you'd want to use Windows for, because that would be like a very long-term goal for it would be to be kind of a stand-in for Windows if possible. And so if that's the case, I put it through its paces and through, like Frogger at it and other games, Quake 3 Arena notably, and Age of Empires. The Age of Empires games, the 2D-based games, seem to work pretty well, whereas 3D-based games like Quake 3 Arena either wouldn't work on some setups or worked poorly on others. So one core benchmark thing I'm going to do with it is, can it run Quake 3 Arena? And if it can, and we can get it working pretty solidly, then the next challenge will be, can it run Doom 3? Now, they haven't expressed, as far as I know, any good examples of it running Doom 3, but as time goes on and we test ReactOS going into the future, can it run Doom 3? Because when this all started out, I would have never thought that would have even been possible. But in theory, you should be able to install all the drivers for graphics cards and whatever else, DirectX, just like you would on Windows, and Doom 3 should be installable. So, can we get that far? No fucking idea. But we're going to try. But we're going to start first with Quake 3 Arena. Now, I've perused the known working hardware list on the ReactOS wiki this time, specifically video cards, And the only video card that is tested to work that I have is the NVIDIA Riva TNT2. But that doesn't give me many options, and definitely doesn't look good for us running Doom 3. Probably will run Quake 3 Arena, but definitely not Doom 3. Now, if necessary, I'll go through as many graphics cards as I have today to test it. Graphics cards are a little finicky when it comes to ReactOS, but CPUs not so much of a problem unless they're really old. According to the ReactOS website, it even supports i7 processors. Now, I recently upgraded my main computer, and I now have a freed up i7 board, as you can see running right here. It seems like I'm getting a little bit crazy, but bear with me a little bit here. They say focus on XP/Vista era hardware if possible. This is about 2011 hardware, which I guess you could argue is right on the edge of XP Vista territory, like the much outer edge. There's a very high possibility that this will not work, but I'll still give it a try. I'll put the hardware that I'm using in the description if you need it. Now, as you can see, we're using the Intel integrated graphics right now, and from what I saw on the list of integrated graphics, this just is not been tested to work. But for simplicity's sake, why don't we leave it plugged in exactly how it is and see if we can do an installation. The reason why I have Linux up on the screen is it's a pretty much basic and unused installation of Linux that I'm going to overwrite on this SSD that we previously used for, I don't know, God knows what. But we're going to do a fresh install. Now, I have other motherboards, and we're going to try them if this one doesn't work. And I'm going to keep trying at this until we get Quake 3 Arena working. And I'll go through old video cards, I'll go through new video cards, as long as it takes, I guess, which, might be all video cards and motherboard combinations that I have. But we're not going to do this virtualized. We're going to do this for real here. Right here I have the Bootable system. Probably plug it into USB 2 just in case. And we're going to be giving this thing maximum power because, again, this was my daily driver computer, an i7 2600K with 16 gigabytes of RAM. If it's going to break, it's got to break fast at least. So we won't be spending a lot of time waiting for it to go through loading, I'm going to guess. And if something stops, I'm going to guess that it's probably locked up, not just going slow or whatever. So let's go ahead and restart this and say goodbye to this installation of Linux. Now, this board is new enough to use some types of UEFI support, which of course would break ReactOS undoubtedly. But it does have a legacy mode, so we'll see what happens there. So we have the USB compact flash card here, but then it also gives us the option to boot UEFI from the compact flash card. So we're going to do like a legacy boot, hopefully, with this option. Fuck. So yeah, just in your genuine Draga 1 fashion, I wind up with my foot in my mouth. Doesn't do anything. So now that we've exited Wacko Land Population Draga, switched back to, of course, our tried and true Core 2 Quad board from 2008, which I believe has 6 gigabytes of RAM loaded up, 2.8 gigahertz quad core, obviously. And we're going to do exactly the same thing. We're going to boot it up off of this compact flash card and see if we can get it installed onto this. So, same exact setup. I just used a different motherboard. I figured I'd give the other one a shot, because if it did work, then I'd have more than enough raw power to do a bunch of stuff. But instead, we're dropping it back to the actual XP Vista era. Actually, this is more like the Windows 7 era, but whatever, you get it. Here we are, once again. Question is, should I leave it on AHCI? Will that bite me in the ass? I've been making this channel for 6 years now, or done the computer stuff in depth for 6 years now. Swear to God, I've read up on it, but this whole AHCI shit, for some reason, I just can't get it through my thick skull as to what the fuck it is. So, let's give it a try with that. And there we go. There's that one. So now we're gonna actually boot ReactOS, but this time same black screen with backlight on. Oh, maybe the i7 would work. Shit, at this point, who knows? It's exactly the same issue. Now, this is if you download, if you're on a ReactOS's site and you download the bootable installer and not the live CD. Things aren't looking good so far. We've tried 2 motherboards. Now, we are using the untested, mind you, integrated graphics on both of them. Both Intel integrated graphics, and I think the last time I checked, there was only like one that was tested, and I don't even know if it worked. So maybe the next step is we need to throw a graphics card into this that isn't the integrated graphics. This is essentially going to be a troubleshooting video. Alright, so if memory serves, I used the GT420 last time. We'll use it again. Now, one of the problems we're probably going to have with testing this is I don't have the same motherboard in any of the old motherboards from any of the old ReactOS videos. So that could be a problem. We'll have to start our troubleshooting all over again. So let's try this combination. Same symptom. So next I'm going to do the quote-unquote live CD instead of the installer. And I'm going to bring this back to the default configuration without the graphics card to just go only change one thing at a time here, because I have a habit of going a little crazy here. So also that dust pattern has been there from probably like 2012. It stayed there, it hasn't moved. I don't know what's going on. Live CD. Okay, so now we actually see something. Now, I've done this so many times, trying so many different options. This was the default option. Let's go with the default option. Well, that's further than we got before. There's a segment on ReactOS's FAQ, which you should read if you want a little bit more information on this. Especially before considering it for day-to-day use, which they discourage. Like as your daily driver, obviously. But one of the questions on there really stuck out amongst the others, mainly because I was as curious as probably everyone else is. The question is, why is ReactOS development so slow? And as you can imagine, not seeing the beta after 3 years got me a little bit disappointed, but I wasn't at all surprised, just considering the pace up till this point. Now, this doesn't mean I'm disappointed in them, or anyone should be disappointed in them. They're a very small team, but there were a couple other details as well. Specifically, and I'll read it for you here. Developing a Windows-compatible OS is an enormous task due to the sheer complexity of Windows and its undocumented nature. The team cannot work with Microsoft source code, and all development has to be done via, and I didn't know this, a process called clean room engineering, ensuring that no ReactOS source code is contaminated by developer exposure to any copyrighted code from Microsoft. So, just trying to keep Microsoft code out of the project is actually slowing them down from what this says. That seems to be what a conclusion I'm drawing from this. As you can see, it is now stuck on Swenum Sys. Let's give it another shot. Now that we know that we can get a little bit further on this setup. Son of a bitch. Okay, so since we already did live CD debug, now see VirtualBox debug. Seems like a lot of the development is taking place in VirtualBox, because I don't remember seeing this before. Just try regular live CD and not in debug mode. And that's promising. Inched a little bit closer to something working, and it is not. Quick Google search says has something to do with, wouldn't you guessed it, AHCI. So what did we turn on before we got started? Well, it was the AHCI. What do we do to fix it? Theta mode, IDE. And we got the exact same stop error. Probably because it's being loaded off of a USB, possibly. Well, something in the on forum post here says official ReactOS 049 release does not support USB at all. So if this is a storage-based issue, a storage-based error, then it would make sense that booting from a USB device, well, we're not on 9, we're not on 4.9, we're on 4.13, but what if that issue still exists? I haven't tried booting from USB on this before. I used to just burn CDs willy-nilly. So maybe we need to actually burn another CD and see if it works. The other question is, do we burn the live one and then not be able to install anything? Or do we burn the bootable one and hope that we don't get that same black screen? Probably going to have to do both of them, to be honest. So that's the next step. Try booting it via CD instead of USB. Oh, shit. No! Oh, fuck. Now this is the installer, not the live CD, so let's see if we get stuck. Since we were able to get this far, and the thing that fixed it was booting off of a CD and not a USB drive, almost makes me want to go back to the i7 board to see how far we can get with that. You want to try it? I know I want to try it. I'm tired of using this boring Core 2 quad motherboard. I want some raw power, man. Let's see if we could even install it on this. I should probably it should be fast enough. We'll install it, and if we can actually get to a desktop, then I don't know really what's stopping me from just booting it off of the other motherboard, but it'll probably hate that. So prior to swapping out the board, I went to go have lunch, and as you can see, it still has not moved from a while ago. So that sort of gets us stuck on this motherboard unless I can try something else. So kind of shooting in the dark, and as part of a troubleshooting process, let's go back to the other motherboard just for the hell of it to see how far we get. You want to save the configuration here. As you can see, it's on AHCI. Switch it to IDE just like we did with the other one. And we got further than we did before! Hello, hello. That's how we do it. Let's see if it'll actually install. Or respond to my keyboard commands. Premature celebration. It's hard locked because I can't caps lock or num lock. So we got a little bit closer, but we still got a freeze up on the screen. So I'm going to let it sit and see if it unlocks itself. Okay, so nothing. Now, of course, one of the elephants in the room, of course, is the RAM. 16 gigs of RAM, I'm sure that that's got to be part of the problem. I say part because there's definitely more, and that's the RAM. We got 16 gigs of RAM on this board. It's a lot. It's a lot. Does ReactOS have a problem with that much RAM? No fucking idea. But one troubleshooting step would be to bring it down to 4, if we can. Shouldn't have a problem with 4. I hope it won't have a problem with 4. And we'll see where we're at. So let's take some RAM out. There we go. Alright. Oh, that's really noisy. Oh my god. Wait, what the fuck? Why is it booting Linux? Son of a bitch. Alright, let's see how far we can get. Oh! We got so close, guys. So very close. Now you're probably wondering, do I have any smaller modules that could go in this board? Does it matter? Sure I do. Do I really want to go down that road? Do I think it'll help? But what if it does, right? I've got a 2 gigabyte stick here. Let's try that. Okay, I didn't like that stick. Let's try some Gold series. Yep, that did the trick. Like I always say with computers, you just gotta go for gold, you know? So now we're down to 2 gigs of RAM. Still nothing. Alright, well, since we're kind of stuck right now, let's try the live CD, which seems to be the thing that determines whether or not this is going to work. We got a live CD again. Let's go without the debug mode this time. That's a very good sign. Or a very bad sign, you know. Still has optical disk activity, so it's not just sitting there. Ooh, and that's the best sign so far. Installing devices, yeah, good luck with that. Okay, so we're at the... I was about to say Ubuntu for some reason. But ReactOS Live CD, I don't remember it looking like this. And we do have the option of installing it, which I'm gonna fucking take. Never mind. So, I mean, it looks like we're in. And everything's slow as balls because it's running off of an optical disc. So why doesn't the install work? Well, the install CD doesn't work because it gets locked up in text mode. And this one seems to have some sort of software problem, which is keeping it from... well, they're probably both software problems, obviously. But, can I hunt down the installer this way? Alright, we're back once a motherfucking gang. Okay, so that was a very quick error. As of 2017, the graphical version of the installer doesn't exist yet. The only solution for installing ReactOS is to download the separate boot CD, which is just an installation ISO, and install ReactOS that way. The first stage of the installation goes in text mode, and then reboots into graphics mode. So it doesn't exist, and that's why it's not working. So, can't do it that way. But it won't work the other way. It freezes up. And why is it freezing up? Well, I guess we could look that up too. Avoid hardware that uses a USB port for its keyboard or mouse. The ReactOS USB driver is not fully implemented and has bugs. And that was as of 2016. I can't remember if I was using PS2 or USB previously. Well, that kind of makes it so if that's what's keeping us from working, we're sort of screwed if it turns out that that's why doesn't have the drivers in text mode or something, and that's why it's not frozen necessarily, it just can't see the mouse and keyboard. So unfortunately this doesn't have a PS2 port, while for some bizarre reason my i9 board does. So go figure. So is there another way we can control the computer without USB with the current interface that we have? No. Well, but once we're in a graphics mode here, Windows system, whatever you want to call it, the UI, it works. The USB mouse drivers and stuff work. So it could be that so I gotta go back to the other motherboard. Jesus fucking Christ! Oh, piss. Oh, whoa. Okay. I guess I was too lazy to take this one out of the case. Now this right here is an AMD board. It's a Phenom something or other. I totally forgot. But it's about the same performance as our Core 2 Quad machine. Pretty much from the same year, so I think I feel comfortable with using it. Of course we're going AMD instead of Intel this time, but it shouldn't make too much of a difference, hopefully. Luckily though, I'll be able to use the same Model M because I can disconnect the USB one and plug in the PS2 one. This has built-in VGA on the board, so we're going to again start with that. Okay. Oh, well, that was easy. Don't mind if I do. I think I have 4 gigs of RAM in this, or something like that. Ah, see? We didn't make it past this screen because I didn't set the BIOS mode to IDE. Oh, wait. Fuck, it's still frozen. I'm gonna try it one more time because like I pressed Control Delete and then it went to it like instantly. Might have been a coincidence, but is it gonna let me do that? No, of course not. All right. Now I'm just gonna wait. In fact, I'm gonna go take a piss. All right, piss taken. Oh! I don't know what I changed. What did I change? Nothing. I took a piss. Maybe that's all I gotta do. I gotta piss on it. All right. Let's do it. Let's fucking. Huh? Huh? It wasn't a formatted hard disk. You couldn't see it because it was Linux formatted. Well, let's see if this luck keeps up and it just reboots directly how we want it here. So thus far, this is what we've found out. Can't boot it off of USB, can't use a USB keyboard or mouse, and we can't use AHCI. And I guess that's really it. That was the main thing holding us back up until this point. I don't think there was anything else. But let's see if we can actually go forward with this now. Oh no, it's locked up again. Oh no, it isn't. Oh, wait a minute. So you're telling me that if I pressed enter and waited? No, couldn't be. Okay, alright. So, I think I need to manually format the hard drive, because otherwise it won't see it, and it's being a big baby here, so I'll be back. Okay, we're back again. Oh shit. That's not a good sound. So that, boys and girls, was the sound of an optical drive falling over and the disk falling out of the tray while it was spinning. And it's probably scratched all shit now, so that's great. Doesn't look too bad, actually. Oh, look at that. It couldn't find it because even though I formatted it with NTFS, its partition table is GPT, and it probably can't see it. And as you can see, it still has the grub bootloader. I didn't notice that on the screen before. So yeah, I'm gonna have to do a cleaner wipe of this fucking drive. God damn it. Okay, we're back once again. Master boot record. NTFS formatted. SSD. Fuck! So all my SATA stuff is detected, and I used this computer to actually format the drive. So I know it can detect it. Does it not like that SATA port? Maybe it only likes one type of SATA port. So, like, I'm now grasping at straws a little bit here. We can see that the drive is detected. Man, I'm getting a little angry now. Actually, I wasn't filming when I went past it, but I'd skipped over the last thing, and we made progress. I switched the SATA port to, I'm not shitting you, SATA 4 to SATA 1, and now it was able to detect it. And there... Really? I mean, that pisses me off. I mean, I thought I was dumb trying that step. Oh man, if it can't find it on SATA, there's got to be some other problem. But I switched the fucking SATA port, and it can see it. This is troubleshooting, ladies and gentlemen. This is the sort of shit you gotta do. Okay, so NTFS is already there. So we have a lot of options for partitioning and whatnot. So it should just be able to install onto NTFS natively. Okay, it does want to format. I can just do no changes. Oh, NTFS is not an option. Okay. Unless, well, I'll let it format it. Fuck it. We'll go fat on this bitch. Okay. So I'll add that on there. Let's install that bootloader. So now we want to boot the computer from its internal drive. So I'll switch the boot device. There we go. Now booting off the SSD. I just noticed the copyright date is 2020 on there. So if we've done our homework right, I should not get a blue screen and this should just boot. Right? Just boot slowly on an SSD. Well, it's its first boot. It's still sort of half installing itself, I'm gonna guess. Yeah. Yeah, this feels good. This feels pretty good. Oh, fuck. Hey, now we get the GUI installer. You know, even if they're not using any code from Microsoft, wouldn't having, like, exactly the same menus in every single app everywhere, like, get them in some sort of copyright trouble? I don't know. Ooh, themes! I think there were themes before. I think this was the latest one. Let's do that. Auto started, okay, so we're back here again, and we'll see if this boot is any faster now that it's installed. Well, it might not be finished installing yet, we don't know yet. Hey! We did it! Oh no, driver installations. Oh no, driver installations. Well, okay, so here's the deal with drivers, is that they are installable in theory, but I've never ever tried to go this far with ReactOS before. I think this is the first time I've done like a solid installation of it, where everything just worked without any weird problems. So, I could probably get the integrated graphics drivers for the board, but instead of doing that, I'm going to see if we can get, now, bear with me, the untested GT420 working with an NVIDIA driver from NVIDIA's site. And put the driver on the SSD directly, and then install it using ReactOS with the graphics card connected. But before we do that, I'll just shut this down. I know we just got started here, so it's kind of sad, but we gotta shut it down. I'm gonna plug in the graphics card and start it up with the graphics card to see if it crashes. It's possible that if it crashes, I will need to reinstall ReactOS all over again, which is not that big of a deal now that I know what the process is, and if I do it exactly the same way, I'll probably get the same result. So, gotta install this. Oh, I don't see anything because I don't have my fucking monitor plugged into the... It's probably working right now. I don't know. Hey! Nice. I was not expecting to catch it mid-boot up. Okay, nice. We did it. We got to this point. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the driver and a copy of Quake 3 Arena onto the SSD, so that when I get it, I can install the driver and then play the game. And once we can play that, then I will attempt to natively install Doom 3 from my original CDs. And that's going to be the ultimate test that I'm going to have for it. So, be right back. Okay, we're back. As you can see, we now have a goodie. Whoa. Calm down there. We now have a goodies folder. Now I want you to take a look very closely here. So I'm at least paying a little bit more attention now. So we have the WinXP 32-bit version of the drivers, and the reason for that is ReactOS is a 32-bit operating system. So if I've been throwing 64-bit code at this thing, no wonder it's fucking up. I'm asking too much of the damn thing. Okay, so this might be asking too much of it, but let's try this. It should just work because all the like kernel is there, all the calls are there, whatever, all the little bits. When NVIDIA driver spreads its tendrils into the bowels of ReactOS, it should find exactly what it's looking for and make the modifications as needed. Looks like we're doing everything okay so far. Oh my god. Well, there goes that idea. Now, it should have dumped a log. Fucking hell. Okay, so while I'm on a roll, and before I get too into trying to diagnose specifically this card, you might just want to swap out the card for something else. What else do we have? Well, it looks like anything modern NVIDIA is pretty much off the table, which also means that Doom 3 is probably going to be off the table, because if you want to run Doom 3, you're going to need something that can handle it. And the cards I have, ooh, it ain't good. But I do have some stuff that's old that should be able to at least run Quake 3 Arena. So, okay, I just spent 15 minutes digging through my graphics cards. What I found out is that 50 to 70% of my graphics cards are like Power Mac G5 and Mac Pro entry-level video cards that are of absolutely no use to me right now. And the rest are AGP cards from the 90s, which don't help us here. So I did find this, though. It's what the fuck is it again? R4350. It's an AMD GPU, and it's fanless. Ooh, it actually would have been a nice low-profile thing for my suitcase build. Whatever. Anyway, I don't know where this was previously, but I'm downloading the Windows XP drivers for it right now. Will we have luck with an AMD card over an NVIDIA one that's of comparable performance, I guess? We won't know for a little bit here. Downloading the drivers right now. I'm going to load them into the goodies folder, and we'll see where we're at. Now again, before we can do anything here, before we install any drivers or anything, we gotta see if it'll boot up with the card in there first. Because if it crashes, we may need to totally reinstall it, worst case scenario. If it can survive a boot from this, I think ReactOS has some good shit going for it. Okay, well now I don't even see the BIOS. There we go. That's quick. Wow, I'm actually really impressed right now, despite my lack of being impressed from everything up to this point. It booted on another rogue video card here. Now this is the Windows XP. If you didn't notice it, it's the Windows XP beta, like done with support. AMD says this is the last driver you get. Okay. I can't tell which one of these is the next and which one of these is the cancel button. Okay. Is this Express? Is this Agree? Yes? Wow, I couldn't see any of the... Well, this one's actually fucking going. This is where the rubber hits the road right here. It's actually trying to install graphics drivers. Ooh. I don't think I can watch this. Oh, this is a little stressful, actually. Oh my god, I just can't look away from it. I gotta look away. Okay. It's only been 30 seconds. But it says, warnings occurred during installation. View the log for details. So I'm going to assume this is the log. Now, you see how there is an immediate log there? Do you know what it takes to enable logging for NVIDIA installers? You have to modify your registry, okay? And there's an official NVIDIA page that tells you to modify your registry just so their fucking bloated ass installer will give you a fucking log file. Like, how stingy are you? Jesus. Okay, I'm ranting, but good lord. Okay. I'm just trying to figure out if it failed. I don't fucking know. It said it completed. Alright, let's reboot. This could make it unbootable. Like, just so you know. If I get a blue screen now, I am literally SOL, and no one can save me. Because this is beyond, totally beyond, what they would expect me to be able to do. I'm gonna guess. Now, I could desperately search. Oh, why am I even thinking about that? We don't even know what's gonna happen yet. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. How the fuck? Alright. Alright, so one of these is the engine installer, and one of them is the Quake 3 Arena installer. I think this is the engine installer. Okay, that was fast. Okay, well it won't let me point to where the pack0.pk3 file is, so whatever. I'll just drag it in there. Whoa, okay. I was like, wow, that's a fast copy. Oh yeah, it's on the same drive. Okay, so this is the server, this is the regular. It's not a good sign. That is good. Well, I mean, it's a good sign, but it's a bad sign because it's a really slow FMV. It's going to be just about as slow as it was in the last video. Oh, God. What's with all these colors? These are not good colors. Maybe I just need like the latest version of OpenGL or something? Like, is that what I'm missing? Maybe that's it. Because this is about as... Oh boy, oh boy. Alright, okay. Well, it doesn't have that weird skybox thing going on, I guess. Okay, so let's see if I can bring up the console here. Need to find out what renderer it's using. GL renderer. Ooh, what? GL vendor, Brian, Paul, and ReactOS developers. So it's using its own OpenGL? I didn't know that. Alright, well that's eye-opening. Let's Alt F4 out of that. Quit. Exit. Oh, come on. There is no DirectX renderer for Quake 3 Arena. Or if there was, it's... But I'm thinking of a different game that's around the same era, and it's my favorite game of all time. Deus Ex! But instead of installing it from CD, I'm just going to copy the game folder onto the SSD and fiddle with the graphic settings. We now have Deus Ex and DirectX 9C. But we will not be installing DirectX 9C because that is just dangerous. Can we just launch Deus Ex as is? Actually, before we do that, can I get... Okay, well this could help a little bit here. ReactX 9C. Aha, okay. So we learn something every day. There's a ReactOS OpenGL and there's a ReactOS DirectX. So that means that's as good as the OpenGL is getting. And that also means that I don't want to go DLL hunting. Ah. Alright, I copied over that DLL file. So the MSVCP140 DLL is actually part of the C++ runtime redistributable. And I have it right here, and I'm going to try and install it. It's probably not going to work. I've been looking stuff up all day about ReactOS, and it's pretty fatiguing. So far, again, this is a good outcome. Actually having it boot up and work on multiple pieces of hardware is absolutely astounding that it's been able to get this far. So what I'm kind of learning as I go is that it's probably not going to work, but setup successful. Shit, well, that was easy. Is that it's obvious. It's obvious that this operating system is not for gaming, definitely not for 3D gaming. And I really don't know why I have this preconceived notion that I'll somehow be able to get it working. I guess that's just how I test operating systems or Windows OSs or on computers. That's just the go-to thing. That's something I started with. And then I just branched out from there to see how I could make that goal a reality. And really, Quake 3 Arena running at all, that is an extremely good outcome with no modification to the system. Saw some other video where a guy was getting all kinds of graphics acceleration going on with a lot of different games, but he had to rebuild ReactOS. He needed to use a bunch of DirectX Microsoft code in there, which I mean is fine, but isn't the dream to be able to use this exactly like Windows XP or Windows 7 or something like that and have it just work? Or sure, you got to install some drivers, you got to update your DirectX, sure, no problem, but you should just be able to do that and then you're done. Rebuilding ReactOS is an entirely different thing. You're making your own thing at that point. This is supposed to be a Windows alternative, if possible. That's the dream. Alright, so if that was successfully installed, Deus Ex should just work, right? Oh, holy shit, it does! Oh my god! Okay, so this is the third-party launcher. Now, as you can see, it has different rendering support, and I can use software rendering, which will almost certainly get it working. Let's try Direct 3D, which is going to use DirectX 3D. All these things I can't modify. 32-bit color. This might fuck up here. Let's hit that 90. Let's go with full screen, 640 by 480, just in case. Okay. Are we still live here? Or are we crashed? Alright, no big deal. We got another combination we could do. OpenGL. Actually, let's just change one thing. 16-bit color. Turn off raw input. Turn off widescreen stuff. So, actually, let's put this back to 32-bit. Let me turn off that raw input, and that'll be all I change. Hey! Hello! What's that? It's smooth! It's smooth. It doesn't even have that Z buffer glitch thing. Although I'm not seeing any reflection in the first place. Oh, now it's having some Z buffer problems. Oh yeah, we don't have sound because I didn't install the sound drivers because those are integrated on the board and the likelihood of those working is low. I'll have to look up to see what audio drivers actually work. Yeah, we have no texture filtering whatsoever there. Is this running in software mode? I'm not sure right now. Look at that! Look at that! Oh! It's smooth. It's actually smooth. This is 60 FPS. What? Oh! That's some PS1 problems here. This looks like software rendering. It really does. These sort of shits. It looks like. Oh, look at that! Look at that! He just walked right through it. Well, again, the Z buffer, I guess. If that's what it is. That's what's going on. I mean, it's smooth otherwise. Okay, so if this works so great, let's get out. Let's go back in. Let's go to... What's the resolution for this shit? 1024 by 768, is that where we're at? And let's leave it like that. Oh, let's just play it with the higher resolution. Alright, so it still kind of wants to be in windowed mode. It has the... Now it's okay. Maybe we're at 800 by 600. Hold on. This screen should be 1280 by 1024. Whoa! Hello! Ooh. Ooh. Well, I've never done this before. I've never cranked the resolution up that high. I really can't tell what if the graphics card is doing anything anywhere at all. 1280 by 1024. Let's crank it up all the way. Looks like we've lost about 30 FPS. What the hell's wrong with my hand? I can see the magazine inside of the weapon. My gun is transparent, but not transparent enough to see my hand through it. Okay, well, that's interesting. Alright, configure it again. Now let's try OpenGL. Okay, so instead of having the bar at the top, we got the bar at the bottom. And now it's shitting itself. Aha! So that explains why Quake 3 Arena didn't run too well. Because Quake 3 Arena used OpenGL. Oh, okay, yeah, that's a problem. Oh, really? Oh my god! Alt S. There, that works. Eh? Go back to the main menu? It went back to the main menu. Oh, okay. Well, let's just, for consistency's sake, let's do software rendering. It goes faster than OpenGL. Now let's see if we have the same problems. Interesting. I can still see my magazine through my gun. Oh, never mind. I might have to retract my previous statement because it turns out that I was being bamboozled here because it was software rendering all along. Right now, running games in software mode is not a big deal on ReactOS. That's like the way to do it. You try to do anything else, doesn't work. Or not well. Where's my damn Call of Duty? I found it, motherfucker. Let's do this. Have I done this before? I've probably done this before. Fuck. I just sneezed for like 3 minutes. Okay, so I did some thinking. And I think that I don't think it'll matter what video card I use. It'll still be the same performance. ReactOS is not meant to play any type of 3D game. Not unless you heavily modify it. Why don't we pop the GT420 in there, see if it does the exact same performance and still does the same things, and see where we're at. Now, as you can see, without skipping a beat, we're on the GT420, and we got the full resolution here. However, it seems to be a little bit slower with the dragging here. I don't remember it being this slow, although I didn't do that. I never dragged it after I switched video cards. I'm going to admit I've been doing pretty terrible up to this point with being freaking consistent on some of this stuff. But I should have looked at this a little bit earlier. Other devices. Got a lot of stuff that we just don't have drivers for. However, this is what it shows up as. Now this is kind of what it looks like on like Windows 10 when it doesn't know the driver for it or whatever. I didn't check this when I had this in there. So, but something tells me it's probably just this. It's using a default driver. It totally is. Just a basic VGA driver, meaning that I'm guessing a lot of stuff ends up happening in software. It did detect a multimedia audio device. This is the sound card that I put in there. If I try to go in here, and if I try to reinstall the driver, the option for choosing the driver manually just doesn't exist. I can search in a location, which is where it is, and it just fails, probably without even trying. Knowing that some things are just outright missing from this operating system, it wouldn't surprise me that that functionality just isn't there. But I could have sworn it was, and people were installing drivers and whatnot. This is an extremely loaded topic. Like, I've done some research, but man, you really got to go deep with this stuff if you want to know the ins and outs of like getting these drivers to work, because I just don't see how it's possible at this point. They're not at a point where it is equivalency. It is at equivalency with Windows. Obviously not, but even like really old Windows that had poor driver support. Because at least if you actually had the driver, you could actually get it working. The problem was finding the driver, not so much as whether or not it would work. Well, let's give Deus Ex another shot on this computer. Let's do that same software thing. Ooh. Okay, you get the idea. Well, before we go any further, we see that if we use the official launcher and not my weird-ass one, we only see software rendering. But if we see show all devices... Aha! Wine, Direct3D, Direct Draw Emulation. So I'm not quite sure why I didn't figure this out before, or maybe I didn't show you guys. I don't know if I had it on camera or not. But there's a control panel in here called Wine Direct3D Options. And I'm guessing this is where you actually control or DirectX, whatever. A lot of these things, I'm not quite sure what they are so much. Multi-sampling. Like, some of this stuff can be modified. So if some 3D card drivers must be updated in order to work reliably. Okay. Okay, so let's see what happens if we just keep it default. This is as fresh as the install can get. And I can still see the magazine. I tried to Alt-Tab out of Deus Ex instead of just quitting it. And I got this. So as you can see, we're on a different graphics card right now. And we're getting about kind of similar performance that we were before. I'm 99% sure both ReactX and the ReactOS OpenGL, or the ReactGL or whatever it is all just software emulation wrapper type stuff. And it looks exactly the same. It doesn't matter what graphics drivers I have. It's just detecting my video card as a VGA card, and that's it. And as you can see, the reflection here does not work. OpenGL runs like ass. DirectX just defaults to software mode. So at that point, I'm like, okay, so is there a game that requires DirectX that's relatively in the XP era that doesn't have an option for software support that I can test to see how it locks in without defaulting to software mode, because it has no other choice. It needs to use that Wine DirectX stuff. And I've used Wine before in multiple different videos and multiple different circumstances. It worked so much better than this does. If it is in fact doing some sort of software rendering mode whether it's through emulation or wrapping or hell, I don't even know the proper nomenclature for it, to be honest. But the processing's being done on the CPU through some janky software. It's in no way optimized for how these games were supposed to run, so that's why we have this abysmal performance. And we haven't seen a big improvement in this since last time. I'm asking way too much for it, expecting it to play Quake 3 Arena smoothly. But am I?
Welcome to Quake 3 Arena. Crash.
Did I cheat? What happened? How did I do that? This is the same hardware. Same graphics card. We have audio. We have full FPS with 0 configuration. Now, how on earth did we do that? This is the same hardware, mind you. Well, I just did a fresh install of Ubuntu. Dicked around with Play on Linux. Didn't do any configuration, just run an installer, just do something. And I just pointed it directly at this Quake 3 Arena EXE, and it just works. With sound. The same sound card I installed, the SB Live. So tell me this, if ReactOS uses Wine code, why can't they do this? Why doesn't this work? I don't know. I don't know anything about coding or the challenges they face or anything like that. But this is night and day. Same exact hardware, running Windows software, and it runs perfectly. So I'm going to recommend that if you want to play Windows games, not Windows environment, Proton on Steam, or Play on Linux without Steam, which is basically just Wine. So for now, ReactOS isn't quite there yet for me. There's a lot of 2D things you can do with it, and I suppose I could make another video where I go through a whole bunch of other software that has nothing to do with gaming, like productivity software, maybe even some music creation software and stuff like that, to see other things you could use it for. But that's not really what this video is about. This is revisiting an old video to see where we're at now, and not a whole lot's changed. Is ReactOS better now? Yes. But you have to take it one step at a time. Play by the rules, realize how little hardware support this OS really has. Installing the OS on actual hardware isn't that too big of an issue. That is, if you ignore the multiple hours and motherboards it took to accomplish it. I think most people who try to do it just miss one or two things, like no USB support, or needing to not use AHCI, and not expect it to do remarkable things as if it's equal to retro Windows. It's not. It's a long-term experiment. Considering my last videos, I feel like things are better than they used to be, but there is a long way to go with development. If you want to see ReactOS get better, you'll have to contribute to bug reporting and testing. Donating your time or money is the only real way to push this thing along. Nowadays, that might not seem like a good investment considering the lack of progress for a very long time, and the way things are economically right now also doesn't make a lot of sense. And some may be unwilling to reward what would be considered bad behavior. I'm both frustrated and optimistic for the future of ReactOS, but that golden future, full compatibility, equivalency to Windows, might just come a little too late. And if you've noticed, in the time it took me to say all of that, ReactOS still hasn't successfully booted. It really is a kind of garbage in, garbage out situation. Play by its rules, it'll play nice. The main configuration change here was I enabled USB support in the BIOS. And that did it. It fucking hates USB with a passion. I didn't even take out the Ethernet card. I just turned off USB. Now, I know I started the video kind of joking around, saying, hey, let's get this working on an i7. I was kind of serious. I really did want it to work on an i7. Now, I know it has almost no compatibility with USB and God knows what else. I've done pretty much everything I can here. If we go back, we'll see USB configuration, have stuff turned off. I don't know whether leaving legacy USB support on or off will help. Onboard devices, I turned as many things off as I could. Disabled hyperthreading. I really don't know how many number of new features on this will cause it to break, but I'm still going to try it now that I know that we have an installed copy of ReactOS. Now it could suffer from the same problem that Windows 7 did, where it blue screens if it's moved over to a different motherboard. But it's going to be the final thing we try before the end of the video, so let's give it a shot. USB keyboard does not work. I don't have PS2 on this motherboard. Thanks everybody for watching. Oh my god, the mouse works. What the fuck? Does the keyboard work? No, that just freezes the whole computer. Okay, well I really didn't think that was going to work. What the fuck? I'll reset it. It booted pretty fast, like on an i7. Woo! Like the keyboard might just be totally fucked. I think I'm gonna unplug it actually. They did recently add on-screen keyboard, so whoa! Had so many onboard devices disabled in that. Oh fuck! Son of a bitch. It was working, and then I had to go and press a fucking button, and it crashed. Oh, don't do this to me, because like I was ready to just, it wasn't gonna work, and I was gonna be done. And if it worked, I was gonna piss. But ugh. Well, it's got some ways to go. I probably wouldn't have been able to get very far anyway, I'm gonna guess. But that was an interesting surprise, and yes, we did increase our boot speed by moving to an i7. So, thanks everybody for watching. Maybe sometime later I'll dig back into ReactOS again. I'll see you guys next time.